Okay, let's unpack this. We are diving deep into Pluribus, the new television event that has, well, pretty much captured everyone's attention.
It's everywhere.
It is, and it comes from Vince Gilligan, the mind behind Breaking Bad and, the wonderfully cynical The Lone Gunman.
Right.
So knowing his history of dissecting American ambition and morality, the anticipation here is just massive.
And I think it delivers on that.
It really does. Our mission today, then, guided by the sources you've shared, is to truly understand the core dread of Pluribus. We're not just looking at the plot, we're trying to figure out how Gilligan takes something as universal as, the pursuit of happiness and just twists it.
Twists it into a profoundly potent form of horror.
Exactly.
Yeah.
What makes this show so unsettling so quickly?
Well, what's fascinating at this premise is how deceptive it is. I mean, the show has this sci-fi framework, right?
Yeah, on the surface.
But its true operating system is horror. It's tackling a very uncomfortable, almost philosophical question. If you are personally unhappy and someone else is offering absolute peace, why should you resist?
Right. Why is your individual struggle more important?
It essentially weaponizes absolute contentment against the individual.
And the mechanism for this weaponization is, it's baked right into the premise. The sources lay it all out.
Yeah.
You've got this mysterious contagion turning people into a massive, organized hive mind. A state of, what do they call it, unwavering happiness.
Unwavering happiness. And our way in, our perspective, is Carol.
Played by the brilliant Rhea Seehorn.
Just phenomenal. And she's this successful but deeply unhappy romantasy writer who is, for some reason, immune.
We don't know why yet.
Not yet. And the title itself is a huge signal. Pluribus.
Latin.
Right. It means many or from many. It hints immediately that the individual has to be sacrificed for the collective, that your autonomy is the price of admission to this new state.
So the central thesis is set up from the very first frame. The collective good is the ultimate villain here. Okay, so let's talk about the mechanics of the takeover. Because the first episode, it doesn't just tease the infection, it blitzes the human race.
It's a full-on assault.
We get this vague, almost cosmic initial focus, signals, gigawatts. But that quickly gives way to the brutal human consequences. The contagion is just so swift.
Swift, but incredibly violent. And what the notes highlight is that speed of onset gives humanity absolutely no fighting chance. This isn't some slow-burn virus. It's a moment of rapid, excruciating physical transformation.
It really is. It's almost instantaneous body horror. The notes detail how, upon infection, bodies just start shaking violently, eyes rolling up to show only the whites, and the convulsions are so severe that victims fall and literally break their heads open.
It's a sudden, definitive obliteration of the person they were just a second ago.
And this specific type of horror is so crucial. Gilligan largely avoids sustained graphic gore.
Right. It's not about that.
He instead establishes this profound fear of the invisible. The violence establishes the finality of it, but the real terror is internal.
Exactly. You are left wondering what unseen, unstoppable process is happening inside these bodies that demands such a total surrender of control.
The fear isn't just what the infected do, it's what they're becoming.
What they are becoming, yeah.
And the atmosphere of the world afterwards, it just establishes immediate hopelessness. Carol's view is of a civilization that's already lost.
In the span of 1 hour of screen time.
1 hour. We're shown these cities just dominated by distant fire and smoke. It's a picture that's very reminiscent of other post-apocalyptic settings.
Oh, yeah, you can see the DNA of The Last of Us or the urgency of 28 Days Later.
For sure. But what distinguishes the remaining inhabitants, these happy meat drones, as the source calls them, is their coordinated efficiency.
Yes, that's the key difference.
The sense of finality isn't just from destruction, but by this eerie, organized behavior. They gravitate toward each other, yes, to hunt, but they also carry out these surprisingly coordinated cleanup efforts.
They're tidy.
They are the new dominant species, and they are tidy about their victory. It's chilling.
That organized cleanup is terrifying because it signals that the world hasn't just gone crazy. It has achieved a new, chilling sense of order.
And that leads us right to the central thematic horror. If the physical violence is over, why is the resulting state of forced happiness so fundamentally terrifying to us?
That is the core question, isn't it? Why do we instinctively reject absolute conformity, even when the outcome is guaranteed tranquility and order?
Right. It should be a good thing.
It should be. But the core terror in Pluribus is the complete demise of individuality. To sacrifice the self is to join a singular body of emotion, which eradicates personal independence and, crucially, intellectual autonomy.
Free will is not just challenged.
It's deemed the source of all the world's problems. It's damned.
And what makes the infected so disturbing is that they aren't traditionally menacing. They're not drooling monsters.
No, not at all. They are smiling agents of compliance.
Exactly. The source material details this particularly disturbing confrontation in the first episode. Carol is faced by a large group moving as one, and their expressions are entirely unthreatening. They're smiling.
And that smile is intended to be an invitation, a reassurance that she'll be safe if she joins.
But what the scene reveals is that the smile is actually the ultimate sign of compliance. It's the mask of total submission.
Safety isn't guaranteed. Submission is enforced. The horrifying revelation is that peace is only achievable through the eradication of the self.
It's a powerful metaphor, but like we were saying, this isn't the first time science fiction has used forced conformity as a source of terror.
Oh no, this concept has deep roots.
Especially tracing back to an era when America felt threatened by large-scale collectivism.
That's a necessary connection to make. I mean, if we look at the historical context, this idea saw massive traction during the Cold War. The concept of an alien takeover that strips individualism and replaces it with a hive mind loyalty was used as a potent metaphor for Soviet collectivism, for the perceived threat that this massive singular state ideology posed to Western individualistic American values.
So the alien threat wasn't just invading Earth, it was an ideological invasion, a stand-in for a monolithic state that promised to solve all your problems if you simply stopped thinking for yourself.
Precisely. The goal in those narratives was to position the collective as a chance for humanity to be born anew, but without all the messy stresses and anxieties of individual agency.
And we see this framework everywhere. The Twilight Zone used it on a smaller scale.
And of course, the multiple versions of Invasion of the Body Snatchers really perfected that idea of the peaceful, silent replacement of humanity.
We can even add the 1953 film Invaders from Mars and the 1998 horror comedy The Faculty to the list.
Yeah, which shows the longevity of the idea. In all of them, the flawed, stressed individual human is replaced by a peaceful automaton.
And the key insight, really, in all those historical works was the nature of the invitation.
The invitation, yes. The aliens or the collective always offered a guarantee. Give in, and you will find peace of mind and happiness.
It was a deal.
It was a deal to unburden subjects of their complicated human problems because the state, or the invading power, knew what was genuinely best for you. The fundamental fear, then, was becoming a mere number in society.
Stripped of your unique character and agency, and that fear made perfect sense in the context of global political conflict. But let's bring this forward. If the 1950s fear was the state crushing the individual, what is a Gilligan-helmed collective invasion speaking to in 2025?
That's the question.
It seems like we're worried less about the government forcing us to conform and more about something we're doing to ourselves.
And that's where Pluribus becomes truly sharp and modern. Its version of the happy hive mind subtly hints at dangers in newer societal expectations and these pervasive anxieties we all have.
So we're less afraid of the government confiscating our identity
than we are of voluntarily surrendering it to fit into these highly specific, socially constructed molds.
Okay, so how does that look in the day-to-day world? What are the modern happiness standards that Pluribus seems to be reflecting?
Well, just look at the intense pressures generated by social media and increasingly extreme partisanship.
Oh, absolutely.
These forces generate their own specific happiness standards and metrics for a well-lived life. You are constantly bombarded by feeds, ads, and talking head points that paint one specific lifestyle, one political viewpoint as the definitive recipe for truth and contentment.
So the contagion isn't just a physical thing, it's the constant, aggressive invitation to join the curated, perfectly happy group.
Yeah.
And if you're struggling or if you don't fit that mold, the implication is that it's entirely your fault for not complying with the widely accepted standard of bliss.
Precisely. The pursuit of visible, performative happiness becomes this new, incredibly powerful form of coercive collectivism. If you post perfectly curated meals, if your politics align flawlessly with your chosen side, you are happy and you are safe.
And Pluribus just takes that societal pressure, that insistence that you must be satisfied or else you are defective, and makes it a literal, infectious consequence.
It's a stark idea. The aggressive pursuit of happiness itself, especially when it's defined externally, can be quite dangerous.
So ultimately, as this series continues to unfold, The value of critical thinking becomes incredibly high.
It's paramount. Anytime you are confronted with information, whether it's political rhetoric, social trends, whatever, that promises absolute peace and simplicity as long as you join one singular body of thought.
That should be a red flag.
That should trigger caution. You have to ask what individual freedom you are being asked to sacrifice for that guaranteed contentment.
That is a profound reflection on the kind of compliance the show is portraying. It certainly elevates this past a simple sci-fi premise.
It really does.
So, what does this deep dive mean for you, the viewer? After watching the first episode of Pluribus, you might not just be looking for the physical signs of infection. You might start casting serious doubts on the intentions and expectations behind every perfect, insistent smile you encounter.
And that right there is where the horror truly begins.